here. Today I'm going to talk to you about organic food. Now I'm going to touch on some of the counter arguments of why people say they don't eat organic food. I'm going to talk about why it is so important for you. I'm going to talk about how organic food has more nutrients. I'm going to talk about the toxins associated with non-organic food. I'm going to talk the difference between non-organic and organic. So I'm going to cover pretty much all the points about organic food, and I'm going to also talk about the natural course of toxins inside your body, how that affects you with diseases, viruses, fungus, molds, and parasites within your body. So let me start off with what organic food is. So back in the day, they used to just call it food. Then they started adding pesticides, fungicides, and herbicides. And then they wanted to come up with a way to differentiate between the two foods. They started saying organic food is the one without those things. And I'm not sure quite why they started doing it that way. I would have thought that the food should be called tainted food, in my opinion. I always make that joke. But really, it is food that has a bunch of chemicals added onto it. So there's a really good little comic I post sometimes of a little hamster or some kind of little critter looking up at a guy with a full mask on and a whole and who's spraying pesticides. He's covered with like a hazmat suit almost, and he's saying, "Do you wear that thing while you're eating those?" And kind of the joke of that stuff's so poisonous that you can't breathe it in, but yet we're ingesting it in the food that we're eating. So why is organic? What's the difference between organic food and how do they certify that it is organic? There is some stuff that's just called organic, and it's not certified most of the time, or sometimes they're not even certified. But there is a certified organic label, USDA organic certification, and that is a very important label to look for because that label means that they have paid money to go through tests to get their produce and things like that tested to make sure there is no fungicides, herbicides, and pesticides within those things. So that pretty much covers the difference between non-organic and organic food, right? So then we got to look at what other kind of, or I guess what are the negative things about organic food. One is that it costs too much money. So it does cost a lot more money. But what I like to remind myself and other people who are trying to eat organic is, why are you spending extra money on it? What is the difference between the two foods? You're either paying a small amount of money for food that is toxic to you and is nutrient deficient, or you're paying more money for food that is actually nutritional and not making you more unhealthy. So let's also think about, why are we eating food in the first place? We're not just eating it because it tastes good. We're eating it because we want to survive. We want to get the nutrients we need. We want to make ourselves healthy. We want to be able to have the energy we need to go through the day and do the things that we want to do. Is that correct? Now, I know many people nowadays don't even think about it that way. They just think about what tastes good and how can I, get that satisfaction from eating. They almost think of it as like a chemical trip, um, which is very true in today's society. So many people are looking for that next chemical high, whether it be from alcohol, from smoking marijuana, doing cocaine, doing those kinds of things, or even just eating a chocolate bar, eating that fast food, eating those chemically enhanced, whatever it is, packaged food. So there's a big difference between organic and non-organic. And what I encourage you to do is, when you're at the grocery store, look at the ingredients list. When you're buying any product, read what's in the ingredients and question what's in those ingredients. If you don't know what's in those ingredients, it's usually a pretty safe bet that you don't want to be purchasing that food because it's not going to make you healthier. Now, what may be in those ingredients? There might be chemical additives. Those could be things that make it so your brain likes the food more. There could be color stabilizers to make it so the jalapenos stay a nice bright green. They might be preservative to make it so that food could last on the shelf for like years, which is obviously not good for our body. And then the longer the food lasts on the shelf, the more dead the food is. The less nutrients it has, the less energy it gives to our body, and really that's the main reason why we're eating the food is for the energy. Then you got to think about how is that food grown. You're eating that food, so how is it grown? Is it grown with fungicides? Is it grown with pesticides and herbicides? Those kinds of things are actually absorbed into the food. They reduce the amount of nutrients that the food is able to attain. So just like us, it will inhibit us, and it will inhibit the food, so the nutritional value is lower. So for instance, they did a study on organic lettuce, a lettuce head, versus a non-organic lettuce head. And they found that they'll need 10 non-organic lettuce heads to get the same amount of nutrients as one organic lettuce head. That is a huge difference, and no one should be eating 10 non-organic lettuce heads to get that same nutritional value, and no one should be doing that, because really we shouldn't be eating this non-organic food, this tainted food. So think about it that way, that you're paying for food that is tainted. You're paying for food that is actually really not food, it's dead food. It gives you less energy than it should, and sometimes it actually takes more energy out of you. That's why a lot of us are so tired nowadays. That plus coffee, but don't get me started on coffee or caffeine in general. And if you're going to be drinking coffee, of course, drink organic, because coffee is actually one of the most highly sprayed for pesticides, fungicides, and herbicides out of almost every other thing that is grown on the world is so highly sprayed, and most of the time it's not within America, so they're even using things like DDT and other things like that are extremely unhealthy. And there used to be settled science that said DDT was healthy for you, and that everyone should spray it on, and we all know how that turned out. So think about what is being allowed into our food. I know many of us don't want to believe that the FDA would allow these kinds of things into our food, but really there's a lot of things added into our food that shouldn't be there. And really there's not enough research to show that it is healthy for us, because anything that is not natural, the body considers as something that is toxic to the body. It doesn't know how to handle with it, so it tries to get rid of it. Now, this brings me to the next point of how do these toxins handle within inside our body? Well, the toxins go into either our mouth, through our skin, there's multiple different ways it can enter in our body. Once it gets in there, it goes into our liver or our kidneys, and our kidneys and liver usually work very hard to try to get rid of those, and either make them into gallstones in our gallbladder, or send them out through our urine or our stool. So it gets out those ways. Now, when it's overloaded, when our kidneys and liver are overloaded, what happens then? Well, it starts spitting it back into the body, and our bodies know that we'll get very sick and ill with all those toxins in our body, so it starts creating fat molecules to store all those toxins. And that's why we see such a big increase in obesity and diseases nowadays, is because there's so many toxins that our bodies keep spitting them out. We're so overloaded with toxins that our body keeps spitting them out and creating more fat molecules. That's why a lot of people have high blood pressure, because those fat molecules then go around our blood vessels and constrict it. They go around it and squeeze that blood vessel and make it so the blood pressure is higher. Now, if you are going to be looking at detoxing, be very careful how quick you detox, especially if you have a lot of toxins in your body, which most of us do, because those toxins can all come out at once, and then what your body was trying to do is protect you from those toxins. They all come out at once and make you ill or sick, like they would have if the fat molecules weren't created in the first place. So think about it there. And then also for the price thing, the price difference, they do cost more in the beginning. Think about the more people that are purchasing organic food, the more producers of organic food there's going to be. And with more producers of organic food means there's going to be a higher amount of organic food out there. And when we have more food out there, the price will decrease. Now, first, the price will probably increase if there's a lot of people that automatically switch to organic food. just because of the way supply and demand works. But as more people want organic food and stop buying the non-organic food, less farmers are going to be producing that non-organic food because they're not going to be making money off it, and they're going to switch to organic. And that's really what would be the best thing for everyone in this world. Um, and the reason why I say that for everyone in this world is because you got to think about it as, why do we have so many diseases and viruses affecting us nowadays? You know, we have the most sanitation we've ever had. We have the cleanest water we've ever had, probably. We have the, most high tech technology that we've ever had. So how come our diseases and viruses and illnesses are skyrocketing nowadays? The reason why is because we are eating unhealthy. You are what you eat, and you are what you don't excrete. Those toxins inside of us, we're not excreting. We are keeping within ourselves, and our body's just getting more and more and more and more. So the more toxins we have inside of ourselves, the more acidic our body becomes. And the more acidic our body becomes, the more, well, let's just say it this way: acidic environments actually help parasites, fungus, molds, diseases, and viruses thrive. And that's because they prefer to live in an acidic environment. When they are in an acidic environment and there's a lot of toxins and sugary foods and chemicals and things like that coming into the body, they're living in like an all-you-can-eat buffet. So really, it's a breeding ground for those parasites and molds and funguses and diseases and viruses. And many people believe that, based off of Hollywood movies and things, that viruses just want to come into our bodies and kill us, and that's their main goal. Really, their main goal is to live inside of us as long as possible, especially when we're an all-you-can-eat buffet. The problem is, once we become an all-you-can-eat buffet, we don't have the right nutrients, and we're overloaded with toxins. So our immune system is so weighed down, and our body's trying to focus on getting rid of those toxins, that it can't fight both the toxins and the disease or the virus at the same time. Then the virus becomes so strong from the all-you-can-eat buffet that we actually get taken over, and we end up dying. We end up becoming very sick or ill, and we need antibiotics or something like that to help us out. So you got to think about what you're eating and how that affects you, because that's the root cause of the problem. And many times, the antibiotics might be helpful in certain situations, but they're killing off all of our good bacteria. And the good bacteria is really helpful for us digesting our food. So even if you start eating really good organic food and you don't have the good bacteria in your system, sometimes you might not even get the full amount of nutrients you should be getting, because you're not actually able to break down that food the right way with the enzymes and the good bacteria. So there have been studies showing that there's about 85% bad bacteria in most people and 15% good bacteria. And that's actually reversed to how it should be. It should be 85% good bacteria to 15% good. And most of the reason why is most of us have taken antibiotics, and those antibiotics, can be helpful. Like I said, I'm not knocking antibiotics completely, but they are usually overprescribed. And afterwards, we're not told to start having probiotics, having things that get good bacteria back into our system. And with our many soaps that are antibacterial and many toxic sanitizers, we're killing all those good bacteria even more and more. So you got to think about that. Is what kind of bacteria are providing your body. Good ways to get good bacteria in your body are just things that you eat, like kimchi, sauerkraut, pickles, those kinds of things. Make sure those are organic, and make sure they don't have a lot of toxins in them, like preservatives or color stabilizers. Most brands do have the color stabilizers in there. You'll look in there, like things to keep the jalapenos bright green, or the banana peppers bright yellow. Beans, have firming agents in the cans, and you don't need the firming agents, I don't believe. So look at that. Look at what you're eating. Read the labels. That's so important, to read the labels and see what's on the back of the labels. Another point I want to make is, if we don't have the right nutrients in our body, then we won't be able to operate efficiently. That's all the organs inside of our body, even our brain. And our brain is the best organ in our body, um, and best part of our body to be making money with. And I know many people don't want to think about it this way, but when you're eating unhealthy food, when you're eating toxins and things like that, your brain's not getting the right nutrients and it's being inhibited. And your capacity for making money is actually decreasing because your body is not getting the nutrients it needs. When you start eating healthier, when you start getting the nutrients you need, you can actually be making a lot more money. You can maybe have that chance to make that promotion. You can make your own business. You might be able to see something that you wouldn't have saw before, like an opportunity to make a lot of money. Um, so those are things that are very important. That's another way you can be making money, more money long term, by spending money now. Spending, the best investment you can make is an investment in yourself, and that's eating healthy and getting your body the right nutrients is one of the best investments you can make in yourself. Beyond getting education and things like that, eating healthy, super important. So then another argument against organic food would be that it doesn't taste as good, that eating healthy doesn't taste good, and I want to eat, taste something, I want to enjoy my food. And that is a pretty common belief. Most of us don't like vegetables, especially when we're young. And I believe a big reason why we don't like those vegetables is because we have so many chemical additive foods. We have those chocolate bars. We have things that give us a chemical high. They surge the dopamine in our brain so that we feel so good while we're eating those foods. And really, that affects how our body reacts to other foods. And if you're eating the non-organic foods, like non-organic broccoli or something, it's not going to taste as good as organic broccoli. It won't have the same flavors. It'll be more bland. Or if you're eating canned foods, that's dead food. You want to avoid the canned foods as much as possible and eat food that is, the best thing you can do is have your own garden, just pull it right off and eat it right then. That has the most nutrient on it right then. It's the longer it's sitting on a shelf, the less nutrients it will have for most foods. And so many people cook their foods, and cooking their food is good, and sometimes some vegetables will actually, when you cook them, they will get more nutrients out of them. But most of the time when you're cooking something, it destroys the nutrients in it. So when you're cooking your meat, if you overcook your meat, you destroy the nutritional value in it. And so, big destroyer of that is microwaves. I don't ever use a microwave. If I eat something with a microwave, I notice instantly and I feel very sick. I would recommend just never using a microwave in your life. It's so easy just to warm something up on a stove or a air fryer or a oven that it's really not hard to do that way. And you may be thinking, oh, but I would go to work and I can't, use an oven or an air fryer or something like that. I recommend getting a thermos, a food thermos. That's what I used to do when I was working at a call center. I would just heat up my food in the morning, put it in the food thermos. It would still be just as hot as when I pulled it off the stove. When I opened it up, and then I wouldn't even have to go to the microwave. I could just go to wherever I want and open it up, and my food would be nice and warm for me right there. So food thermos is very helpful if you're in that kind of situation. But yes, eating healthy organic food does change your flavor profiles. Your taste buds start noticing a difference. When you're not getting all those chemical additives and the dopamine fixes from your food, you're able to enjoy your food much more. And you're able to start enjoying the healthy food, which is very important. So look at it that way. It does become a little bit harder to eat out when you're eating this way. I'm not going to lie. It is much harder. One place I do like is Chipotle. They do a lot of healthier options than most fast food places and most food places in general. However, I still try not to eat out too often. Now, obviously, if you eat out every once in a while and you've been eating healthy the whole time, it's going to be much easier for your body to fight off those toxins or those negative foods and go without the nutrients that it would be getting from the food normally. Excuse me. So, I want you to consider this. It is very important that you eat healthy for yourself And not only for yourself, but if you're ever planning on having kids, you got to be healthy for them, because that's part of the reason why me and my wife started going on this journey, was we wanted to become as healthy as possible so that way our kids didn't get any of these unhealthy habits or toxins from us. So if you didn't know this, when a baby is born or when a baby's inside the womb, they gain a lot of the mother's nutrients and toxins as well. Let's not talk about as much of about the about the toxins. So if your body is full of toxins, this is very important for a wife or for a woman to think about, is what kind of toxins you have inside your body, because when you are pregnant, your baby is absorbing a lot of those toxins, and so your baby might be inhibited and on a step back from being healthy just from being in the womb before it's even ate anything naturally, and that's because just from what you're eating. So that is what we have done personally. We don't have kids yet. We want to focus on our health first and our finances, make sure we're in a great spot to support them, and we want to focus on our just overall attitude and the actions we take every day, so that way our kids, can see a good example of a good way to live your life, a healthy way to live your life, and they don't be limited and gain limiting beliefs about those subjects. But I kind of got on a little rant with that part, but I'm very passionate about it, as you can tell. Organic food is very important. Please consider eating it. Next time you're considering the price difference, think about it the way I told you to think about it. It might help because you don't want to eat that tainted food. Organic food is much better. Look for that USDA certified label. And please, please consider it for yourself and for your future kids. Um, or even for your kids now, purchase that food for your kids now, because they will be able to grow and become much healthier and much smarter possibly, and be able to make a lot better life for themselves if they're given the right foods, and they won't be drawn to the negative foods as much when they're eating healthy. Anyways, I want to thank you guys for listening. I hope you have a great day. Feel free to reach out to me at my email below or leave any comments. I love to talk to you guys about this information. It's a very big passion of mine. And have a great day. Thank you. Bye.